Hey,
Hello,
Robbie,
everybody.
how are you,
Hey,
buddy?
Al. Hey, everybody. Welcome to World Drone Community. See who we got in the chat up here. Sorry, we're running a little late today. I see Johnny Drone Flyer, Matt Bagwell. Got Sergio in here from Glyzone Drones. One Vision Aerial, Matt Bagwell again. Let's see. Oh, there's Travel Tech 360. What do you know? How did he get in?
I'm
He
getting
must have
ready to
snuck
do.
inside.
I'm getting
Well,
ready to
it's
do the
hot as hell
same.
in Thailand. I'm ready to come home.
Why's that?
Boy, it's warm. It's just warm here.
Yeah, sometimes you need to have that really hard freeze because it kills all the bugs. And that's one
Oh
of the
man,
big
let me
things.
tell you, it's
There's
the
the bugs
animals here.
there.
It's the animals here. That's the big. A lot of people. It's so funny because when I went to Costa Rica, they're like, "Oh man, Costa Rica's so nice and so great and all this." And I was like, "Come over here and stand in the sun for a little while. You want to go home?" They're saying that by being on their laptop in their air conditioned house, laying back on the couch. Yes, it's pretty, but the climate here, it's super extreme. So anyway, let's kind of get going here. We got Ross Langdon coming. He's actually in a meeting in Australia right now, so he is running behind at least 30 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and get the show started and talk about some of the new stuff. There's so much news. It's like I woke up and it's like everybody loves DJI because of all the great updates they just released.
Well, there's
So
other companies out there too, Robbie, that are releasing products and have some big announcements that are going to be competing with the Auto Light and also the Air 2S. And
yeah,
The Hubsan just released the product line. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, and it's actually looked very interesting to me. But you got to remember that it is Hubsan, right? So you're gonna have to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Let's see, did they pull it? Oh man, they pulled it. Dang it. Let me see if I can find it another way. I was just on
okay,
their site yesterday and I was able to see because now they have the Xeno Mini SE for 314. So that's pretty reasonably priced for a Mini. $314, and they have the Xeno Mini Pro at $429, which is a direct competitor to the Mini 2. And
yeah,
the Nano, it's actually more like the Nano uh, Plus that you have because it has the front sensors and the back sensors.
yep.
So if the Xeno Mini Pro flies better, I don't think it has a better camera than the Nano Plus, but it's pretty close. It's a pretty good camera. I really like it. So yeah, let me see if I can find it with another site here. I think it's
Yeah, man, I tell
Hubs.
you, all this Altel stuff coming out, and then the release of the software firmware update for DJI, which was much needed, especially for the Mavic 3 and also the Air 2S. So it's like the Mavic 3 is like it's not a brick like it was the first day I bought it with no features in it. It is full of features now. So I'm eager to get out and do some blind. I can't wait to try it. But I'm actually still working on some of this Altel stuff. I've run into a couple little hiccups with the Nano here, and the Nano Plus is very sensitive to light. And when you're flying it, sometimes it's almost like you've got the avoidance system on, and you come in front of something, how it stops. So I'm sitting here trying to get it come back to me, and I'm pushing the remote, thinking, "Is it the remote?" It's not. It's just the sensor on the drone is so sensitive. It thinks it sees something and it actually stops. So Ross, I think he had the same issue. He has the same drone. I need to ask Johnny and see if Johnny's had that issue. But
I wouldn't call it
all
an
of them,
issue, Robbie. You know what? It's really a feature. Um, it
yeah. But if the
it's
feature doesn't work, it's an issue until the firmware comes
it
out.
it's
So
an
I'm hoping
issue.
that it fixes it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's acting like it should, right? It's
Yeah,
stopping.
yeah.
It's stopping,
Overall, yeah,
and it the sensors are doing the part, but you're thinking that they're too overly sensitive, is what you're saying,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
yeah, but they're stopping you from running into stuff prematurely, is what you're saying, right? Oh, sorry
Yeah,
about
well,
that.
you got a mini over the ocean and 15 miles an hour winds. It just starts blowing. Pretty hard to get home when it keeps stopping, and that's a
No
situation.
way. It was. Is that what was happening in the middle? Like no trees, nothing around it. It's just
Nothing,
stopping.
nothing. Yeah, just stopping. And Johnny just put in the chat he had the same issue. And one comment I would like to ask the people in the chat: who in here uses Adobe Premiere Pro? If you use that software, let me know in the chat because I'll tell you an issue that I ran into when I started editing the video on this. You can set this in video mode to MP4 or MOV file. And once I got that done and I tried to import it into Adobe Premiere, it wouldn't let me import the MP4. It wouldn't do it. I had to convert it to an MOV file or a different file to get it to do that. So make sure that if you're having that issue, that you go into the Nano and you actually change that to an MOV file. You know, if you're using Premiere Pro, because if not, you're probably going to have the same issue that I have with mine. And I was searching online which software, and I actually bought a $30 piece of software because I've taken so much video over the last 2 or 3 weeks and I don't want to have to convert each file. So I just bought that so I could convert them all. And then I changed it to MOV in the settings when I'm actually doing my video on this.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So very, very, very nice. Um, that. Do you think they're going to release an update here soon that will fix the oversensitivity on? I mean, you're saying it's coming back like 200 feet high and it's slowing down and stopping, slowing down and stopping.
Anywhere, I'm over the ocean, there's nothing around it. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ross thinks it has something to do with, and also in Premiere Pro, he thinks it has something to do with the sensor type that they're using, because on the Air2S they're using an RGB filter, for the sensor on the bottom, and this uses the RHHB filter, which uses yellow, so it lets 40% more light in than the RGB. So he thinks because it's so sensitive, that's probably why why it keeps stopping when you're actually flying it.
Yeah, yeah, it could definitely be that. So we have Gary Bauer in the house, guys. Welcome. Appreciate you joining. You know what? I, I don't. You think all three of you guys have issues with the sensors? I think it's just something in the coding that's off, obviously, and you're waiting
Well,
for the
they
next
can fix
release.
it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure
they'll
they'll
be.
fix it in the firmware because where we started off with SD issues, Johnny had with Jello issues that I had. Now I think Marcus is still having a little bit of Jello on his. I don't have any more on mine, and I only had it when I was flying into the wind and it was putting pressure on the gimbal, and that was in cine mode, normal mode, or uh,
You,
sport
you
mode.
know, you know why Marcus is having it, right?
No,
'Cause one, it's Marcus. Two, it's cold where he's at. So all those little gummies that you
yeah,
normally would see, like you know, doing eating little gummies. Come on, focus camera, boy. See little gummies,
yeah,
man. They get so hard, they're not going to be able to absorb any of the vibration. So I
yeah,
should. I think I shared the display with me, Robbie. Can you see the display on your end? Yeah, you should
yeah,
see it.
yeah. Sorry.
So this is what's interesting to me, guys. I was looking at this, and this is the new product that I found on. They call it the Hubsan Ace. What do they call it? Hubsan. Sorry, excuse me. That was my fault.
Little smaller, Al. A little smaller.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was my fault.
There you
The
go.
Hubsan. There it is. So this is the Hubsan Ace Pro. Let's take a look at theirs. And as you can see, it's not available yet. It's not for
Yeah.
sale. But let's take a look at the specs. See what they're saying. It looks like I might have to go down and click more there. That's better. So they're using a 1-inch sensor. Okay, it looks like a pretty decent sensor because it's a CMOS sensor, and it looks like they're probably going to be using the Sony IM. I don't know, something 77, but the f 2.8 aperture is really nice, and And what there's, I think it's a typo, 2.4 micrometer large pixel is what they're showing. So that's a pretty decent size. I mean, granularity on that sensor. So 2.4 micrometer large pixels. So this is way to be, they're always over exaggerating this kind of stuff anyway. But 1 inch image world sensor is what they're calling it. Okay.
A 1 inch world, 1 image world.
1 inch image world. So pretty good marketing. They're getting better at marketing. Whoever the marketing firm that they hired is doing better, don't you think, Robbie? From previous, it's not
Yeah,
bad.
I don't know. I don't know this company that well. I mean, they just had so much controversy and just so much information. I just kind of like step back to like see
I
what's going to
love
come out and
I love
let
their
the other
products.
people let the other people experience it. Yeah, you've got a background with it, but I think that's one thing. The same way people are with some of the Altel products. I mean, if it wasn't DJI, I didn't want to touch it because I felt in my safe zone. But now I'm
But
kind of exploring a little more, so this may be something that I like.
no, it is. I mean, it's going to be a competitor to the Air 2S, and also the comparative to the Light from Evo, from Autel Evo. So it looks like if the sensor holds up, it's going to be pretty nice. So it looks like pretty much like the Air 2S and the Light that you have front and rear and bottom sensors. The flight time looks very nice, 37 minutes, and they're actually we're saying that it's 34 minutes a hover, if I remember correctly from their documentation. So this is smart batteries. They look very familiar, don't they?
They sure do.
So you got 4 clicks on, 4 LEDs to give you the energy left in your battery. So check this out. Level 8 wind resistance. So what does that mean? 40-mile-an-hour wind. It can handle 40-mile-an-hour wind. No,
Wow.
I'm sorry, 40 kilometers, not miles, I believe it is what it is. So they're talking about using their third generation ATVT 3.0 visual tracking system. So hopefully their algorithms are getting better, and that's also encouraging that we're seeing other companies jump into the game that is going to compete in that 2S, market niche. Really loving that fact that now we're going to have competition in that segment that we didn't have before. Because you got to remember the DJI kind of sets the trend and creates a niche. And then everybody else has to jump in and compete with it, right? So when they came in and dropped the Mini into the scene, oh my God, all of a sudden everybody was scrambling to get a Mini out to compete in that $300 to $500 range. And then, they created a 2S and off and went. It looks like it's going to be a decent size uh, camera, though, if you look at it. So it looks like it's the same kind of format. Let me zoom it a little bit more, Robbie. See how much granularity we can get out of this thing. Yeah. So look, it's going to be able to like screw it off. You know how the Air 2S you kind of twist like
Yep.
25 degrees and it comes off, and it's similar to
Yep.
what you're seeing in your Light, correct?
Yeah, well, I hope they spent money on that camera because Fly Zone Drones made a comment. It looks cheap. It does look awful square. There's no, if you look at the arms, the way the arms are connected, you just don't see anything. It looks aerodynamic. It looks like they built it with a Lego set.
Well,
Now
they
the
did
camera
put
looks
it.
good.
Yeah, I mean, they did put a little bit of a deflection here, but yeah, look at the front. It looks flat. You're not going to get that aerodynamics that we're seeing with DJI for sure. But this is really promising right here. This 10-kilometer HD image transmission at 20 megabits a second coming back to your phone. That is increases the image quality by 400%. They're saying, yeah, and they're going to use that because I'm telling you, it makes a big difference when you get a really nice display back to your phone. I don't see any kind of like smart controller with the product yet, but let's scroll on down. And they're talking about the same old smart modes and one click videos. And After track mode. Oh, they're actually called it active track. Yeah, look at that. So it looks like, the standard fluff. Just look at the weight of this thing. This thing's pretty
What
heavy.
was the price point?
They haven't showed it, but it's going to be a grand to start off with. Maybe $700 to start off. If you hit $700, this thing will definitely. A lot of people will jump on this because it's a 1-inch sensor. But you're talking about takeoff weight of 560 grams, so that's pretty freaking hefty.
How big's the battery?
The battery's pretty good, healthy side. Let's see the hover accuracy, and now they're really getting into the DJI land of precision. So it looks like they're invested in the sensors with the software and the algorithms to give you the precision you need to fly. Like we're, the spoiled brats that we are because of DJI, we require. So ascending velocities, nothing to write home about. Descending, of course, is even harder than ascending. It's a control fall. Maximum horizontal flight speed. So the flight speed is not terribly fast, 16 meters a second, with no wind at sea level. Uh, Maximum takeoff altitude. Ooh, you could be 5 kilometers up on the mountain and still take off. Okay, that's not bad. And see, it when they say grade 8 wind resistance is the same
Meter
as
per
your
second.
yeah, it's the same speed as you can fly, the max
Right.
speed. But here's your tilt angles of flight. So if you were to jump into Beta Flight or iNav or whatever, KISS, whatever uh, configurator that you run for your flight controller, I mean, you could put these values in here and change it. So if you ever crack or get it, or root your Mavic or minis or whatever, you can change the values just like you would in iNav.
Well, what does it
Beta
mean
Flight.
when it says slow flight time 37 minutes? What does that mean, slow flight time?
See, it's saying 8 meters a second. Drones prefer to fly real slow. Is less energy for them to fly straight, real slow, 8 meters a second, no course changing. Hovering is one of the hardest things to do, and then even the hardest part is yawing while hovering. That sucks up so much compute power that it eats up a lot of battery because it's got to do all the calculations to try to speed up and slow down motors, EFCs, as is staying in exact GPS location. So that's what it means, Robbie. Hovering is hard on the drone, and that's
Yeah.
why you only get 37 minutes versus. I'm sorry, you only get 33 minutes versus 37 minutes.
Yeah, let's look at see if it shows the battery size.
Yeah, we're here. Here we are. It's a 3S battery, 4,500 milliamp hours.
So
Of
it's
course,
bigger than the Air 2S.
yeah, I don't have one handy. I guess I could pull mine out here in a second. We'll compare them.
It's got a
So
3,500 milliamp hour on the Air 2S.
3,500. Yeah, so it's definitely bigger. And
Yeah.
so it means I'm not sure about the weight. Hey guys, can you put how much the Air 2S weighs in the comments in the chat? Let us know. Battery weight itself is 245 grams, so it weighs a little bit less than the whole drone of 560. A little bit less than 50% of the 560. So it's probably 40% of the weight of the drone. Any other questions you had? Here's the camera. Let's take a look. They don't tell you what sensor you're using, but I suspect it's going to be the Sony sensor, the image sensor. So note this: no 4K, 4K 30 only, no 60. What's up with that? Everybody else is doing 4K or 5K or 6K.
5.4, yeah, but they say 6K. They're 5.4. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, they're showing here that 4K is the highest resolution they have, and they're only going to shoot at 30 frames a second. This has got to have some other, because in night mode, look at that, 25 frames a second. Yeah, that's how I usually put mine. So, Robbie, one of the tricks is on your cameras, if you run 25 frames a second at nighttime, you'll get better
Yeah.
video quality because your sensor's staying open longer to capture more light.
Right.
And here's your video bit rate. So it's from 100 to 200 megabits. I wonder how that's going to change, but it's probably using this codec to adjust it all at the same time. Firmware upgrade, yeah. I mean, everybody's doing it through the app, not like not like the original Hubsan.
Yeah.
And get this, we do have an SD card. The Xenomina Pro does not have SD card, but this one does. So, does anybody know what Sync Lias stand for? I've tried to look it up, but I've not come up with the definition. Remember, one of you guys knows. Let us know. Um, so that's it. So antenna position, they said it was in a foot. Does that mean one antenna or two antennas or four antennas? I don't know. So, but it does look a little promising, you know. The controller has a 4400 milliamp hour battery in it, so it's not bad. And
What
they're
would you
talking,
pay for that? What would you pay for that drone?
if it was as good as advertised, you know, is the $900 to $1,200 range. That, you know, maybe even $1,400, because I mean it's the Air 2S competitor, right? Hey Harley, how you doing, Greg? Haven't talked to you in ages, man. We got to catch up, okay, man?
I don't know. It seems like everybody's trying to compete with Air 2S, and either they're making something better and stronger and saying it's a competitor so it turns out better. I mean, look at the battery size and just the features on the light compared to Air 2S. Of course, it's going to be as good or better than the Air 2S. But
I agree.
as far as reliability, I think the Air 2S is probably one of the best drones out there. It's pretty much maintenance free as long as you do your firmware updates. These other drones have just had so many little quirks. But keep in mind, we had the Air 2 before, and so they made the upgrades with the zoom and other options on there. So they had some good experience with the Air going into the 2S. So I'm eager to see what some of these companies come out with next.
Agreed. I mean, you have to agree that the Air 2S is the benchmark of
Yeah,
comparison because we're
exactly.
compares
It's
even the Mavic
stable.
3 to it, you know?
Yeah, the stability is just there in the actual drone itself. But you put image quality, yeah, there's no difference between the image quality between the M3, the Mavic 3, and this. Obviously, it's the Mavic 3, but the durability and the sturdiness of the drone is just it's just a good drone.
I agreed. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Hey, hello, AZ Drone, dude. Welcome. Yeah. So, you know, I'm so glad that Hubsan is doing what they're doing, though, because, and they have another product in the line here too. Let me show it to you. So they have the Ace also. I don't know if you can see it, but the Ace is also here. It looks like a smaller sensor. It's not the Plus. It looks like, yeah. See, this is the smaller sensor, and the controller looks the same. Yeah, this is a three-axis thing. This is a small one. Small sensor on the front of the camera. 35-minute flight time. So they have two products out there that are going to definitely compete in that niche of Mini 2 and above to the Air
Who
2S.
in who in the chat flies the Hubsons? I mean, who in here likes the Hubsons that has experience with it? Do you own one? Are you considering buying one? I'm just curious how people feel about the Hubsons. You got the Hubsons, you got the Femies, the Alltales. I mean, how do you feel about these drones that we're looking at now?
There's such a good entry point to the hobby, Robbie, because a lot of people don't want to jump in the game with DJI because of the cost and some of the, no
Yeah,
fly zone.
but you're saying this other drone could be 800 bucks. That ain't jumping, dude. That's like jumping in knee deep. I mean,
No,
most people
but
will get Mini
but
two, the
no, I
DJI first.
agree. I agree, but nobody. There's a lot of DJI bigots, and a lot of people don't like that, and so they
I
want
think
to be
most
on
of
the
them
other
haven't
side of the
bought them.
fence.
I
Yeah,
think
and
most of them haven't bought them because most of the people in the Facebook groups that you read,
I
they'll come on and
agree.
they'll say, "Hey, I want a first drone. What do you recommend?" And don't say DJI, and they should just put the translation of, "Hey, I want a new drone. I'm a broke ass and I got $84. What can you get me?" And honestly, that's what it is.
No, Robbie, I was one of those. I bought my first drone with a Hubsan H501S. I didn't want to
And
buy the Spark.
how much did you spend?
I spent $300 for it. And
Okay,
back
not
then, that
84.
was no, and but it was a GPS drone. And so
Yeah,
here's the deal. Hey, Robbie, can you? Do I have the
yeah.
wrong screen up, or no? You do. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I thought I was done presenting on display. But yeah, I was one of those. It really was. I didn't want to jump into that bandwagon of DJI. And so I can relate to that. I want to look at somebody else because
Yeah.
everybody's buying and I don't want to do the same thing everybody's doing. But in the long run, you'll eventually end up buying DJI going, yeah, it's a good product. It's the
Right.
best product. And it might cost you an extra five or $300 later before you
Yeah.
jump
But you
over.
remember when you taught me to fly the drone, the first drone I flew, I was so excited. This is the one I want to buy. This is the one I want to buy. You're like, Robbie, calm down. So we started off flying the Spark, and then we went to the Mini 2, and you flew the air 2 beside me. We flew down a football field and back, and I was like, oh, you're so much faster than me. So if you think about people that are using these drones, number one, most people should buy a drone that's got 4K, not 2.7. Number one, there's not that much of a price difference between the drones, at least in the DJI format. But after you buy that drone and you start doing things where you want to go out and really take some video, when you've got the smaller drone, your response time to get to point B to video what you're going to video, to me, is worth the extra money to go up to the Air 2 or Air 2S or more to get out there quicker. And then, of course, take that video because I like the appearance of the Mini and I love the image on the Nano, but they just don't have the speed that the bigger drones have. So these are good entry level. Well, this one's not because it's 950 bucks. You could buy two mini twos for that.
Oh
So
yeah, you could definitely not buy too many SEs.
yeah,
And so here's the
but they're
deal, Robbie. I mean,
2.7. They're not 4K drones though. They're 2.7.
no, but it's a 2.7 camera that beats 4K other
Yeah,
camera. They
right.
got such nice glass. But, to play devil's advocate here, a Matrix or Inspire is going to get you out there much faster. Because I've said the same thing when I bought this
Yeah, but you're
here.
talking a
I
different
bought this
camera and a
here.
different experience.
I bought this here because I wanted to fly like a plane, haul ass, get there 80 miles an hour, and
Right.
then do my, you know,
And
GoPro
then hit the
or
button, hit the pause, the float button.
yeah. And so yeah, because I made that comment. That's why I bought it because I can haul ass and get there real fast. And somebody came back and said, "Well, you should have bought the Inspire if you really wanted to haul ass."
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to spend the money, that's the issue. It's a different level. It's a different level drone
Yeah,
for
yeah.
different.
And obviously, the person that was, made that comment, I was a very high end uh, prosumer user. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because when we're talking $300 to $400, we're talking beginners. And I sound super snobby. I'm sorry about that, but it's the reality of the matter in this country because of the fact that we're so wealthy. But other countries out there don't have the revenues that we do. Robbie, you're actually in the country that doesn't have the resources we do. Well, the people don't. Most people don't.
well, there's a different situation here because you've got like the kind of poor people, and then you got the rich people. There's not a lot of
Middle. Yeah.
here, but the difference is because the price in the economy dollar is so much cheaper here. I mean, if you took your house and put over here, you would quadruple the price of your home, because that's what the people live naturally in over here. They're used to like really, really high end stuff or trash.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with what Drone Views Media is saying.
Yeah.
Once the Mini 3 comes out, it's going to suck the wind right out of that room. It's going to pull a lot of the $300 to $800 right off the table.
Yeah, I'm really eager to see what the Mini 3 does, because if you look at the drones coming out now, I mean, honestly, how much more high of a video do we need? 5.4 is like, I mean, even if it's 4K. So the problem is with the minis, you have to like add features to it because of the weight that you have to stay under. It's really hard to get that wind resistant. It really, really is.
I agree. That really is. And, you have to make it accuracy, but you know what? Hubsan pulled it off, and they did it with front, rear, and bottom sensors for under 250 grand. They pulled it off. And they have sensors, and so does that Nano Mini. You know what is it called? The Nano Plus you have is under
Yeah, the Nano
250.
Plus, yeah.
They pulled it off.
It flies smooth. I'm glad it's orange, because otherwise you'd never see the damn thing in the sky because it's so small.
Yeah. But who freaking flies line of sight? Nobody.
Don't say that. Don't say that. We don't let this listen. You said who? You didn't say you. You said
No,
who.
I said who? I said nobody. Because we're looking at our display. We're looking at a display, and then okay, got everything dialed up, and you look up and go, okay, there it is, and then you're back. You know what I mean? And
yeah. I'm getting pretty good at flying in sports mode. I'll tell you one thing here. You never know when you're flying forward and you got 350 birds coming at you. You wonder, are they going to separate? They're going to hit you? They're going to attack you? I had some yesterday. I was flying the Altel Light Plus. And when I was flying, this big bird, I guess I pissed him off, and he turned around like he was going to kind of one of these deals, like I'm bigger than you. And then he kept flying. He was big, and I was like, so I've got to be careful around some of these birds.
Well, I'm going to have to disagree in the chat with, who was it, Maddie, and who do you have here? Let's see, who was it? Somebody else. They're talking about the SCB and their recommendations for the Mini SE. Yeah, here in the U.S., but if you're looking for something with no fly zones, guys, DJI ain't it. Okay, you have to go with another manufacturer so you don't get bugged with the new no fly zone, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're willing to put up with the no fly zones, yeah, get the DJI. But
yeah, I don't want to interrupt you, but I got Ross in here. We're going to bring Ross in with us.
All right.
All right, there you go. Hey, buddy.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Hey, mate.
How's the weather?
What's that?
How's the weather there?
It looks nice.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Let me put that hat on properly.
Now, Ross,
Robbie,
you're actually married to a Thai also, correct?
Say that again.
I said your wife is Thai also, correct?
Yeah. We'll have a look at the.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, Royal Thai Navy. I'm probably going to be asking you pointers over the years. You have more experience with the Thai than I do.
Can speak a little bit of Thai, yeah. Enough to get me out of trouble. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I understand.
So it looks like you're using Video Ooze to do your intros on your videos. I recognize that one. That one on my Xeno. So Robbie, I've got the video queued up if you want to put us like on a side screen and let Ross talk about the video and what he's doing and what he's doing. You ready, Ross? I'm going to hit play. And you could let us know what you were doing, what you were thinking. So here we go. Where are you at?
Well, this is my very first. Actually, it was my very first flight. I'd never flown it until I captured this.
let's back up. So tell me what you're flying first.
Sorry, this is the Nano Plus.
Okay.
It
And
was
you're
all in,
flying over what bridge?
that's the Eleanor Chanel Bridge, which is the bridge between the north and south side of the river. It's a pedestrians and bus only bridge, and the left hand side is the Queensland Uni. It's the biggest
Beautiful,
university in
beautiful.
the
This
state.
shot I
It is
love
beautiful.
right there
Wow.
because you're revealing the city and the structure and the architecture. And of course, you got all the yachts there, and the lighting is fantastic. The sensor on this thing is better than most people think it is. You could actually see that bike going across that. Bike path, and now you're coming across. And this is where I would draw right or left at the same time as I'm cruising to give it more of a cinematic look. Man, looks beautiful, Ross. Good job.
It is beautiful. Ross, tell me
Yeah,
this. Did you have to put any special settings on the camera to get this view, or is this out of the box, or did you edit anything on it?
being my first flight, that was auto settings, and that video, um, applying obviously the cut and paste, but that is just straight off the SD card.
Wow.
So you got all these people on their skulls there, and they're obviously paddling as hard as they can. I don't see a leader, or there's the boat.
Oh, they're rowers.
Yeah, they're rowing the skulls, right? Is that a
Yeah.
skull? Yeah,
Yeah.
the two-person skull, and you can see the coach up here waiting on him, or I
Usually
can't tell.
the coach is in a small tinny or
Yeah,
runabout
yeah,
at the
yeah,
back.
yeah, yelling at him, right? Hurry
Yeah.
up!
Yeah, you got it.
Ross, it's good to have you, man. Super
Yeah,
good
thanks
to
very
have
much.
you.
Yeah,
That shot I love right there. That shot is just fantastic.
yeah. I actually sped up that shot, so that's
Oh, in post?
hence why it's
Okay.
jumping a bit.
Gotcha.
Um,
So what
but
time at night, or is this in the morning? Is this in the morning flight or evening flight?
yeah, it's what they call civil twilight or blue hour. So we're not allowed to fly at night unless you have a commercial license or and also have CASA approval.
30
So
minutes and before and after, correct?
yeah, thereabouts. Yeah,
Yeah. And is this sunrise or sunset?
sunrise.
Sunrise. Got it.
So the light that the first capture was right on the start of the blue hour, and obviously as the flight progresses, it's the light's improving.
Yeah,
But
obviously, yeah.
that particular image there is back more towards the start of blue hour. But the low light performance of the camera is quite astounding. Obviously the drone's having a lot of issues, that have been identified by other reviewers or providers. That the drone's in its infancy, I guess, is the best way to put it. And, it needs a few updates, more so on the Nano, less so on the Lite. The Nano has a few.
Yeah, so
The Nano
would just
has
go-
some issues. One is the speed's been identified, and I think everyone knows about that. That's something for Autel either to fix or they live with it and let all their customers know.
yeah, and
the-
just turn off all your sensors. And that's
Yeah,
what I
well,
would do. I would
well,
just turn off my sensors and not worry
Yeah.
about it. Because
Yeah, Robbie and I were talking about the sensors last night. We're talking about the Nano, weren't we, Robbie?
Yes.
And to be quite honest, with my flying, I tend not to use the obstacle avoidance at all unless I'm in a really tight situation. And
That makes sense. Yeah.
with the doesn't matter what the drones are. And most of the drones, you just leave them on. But I've found with the Nano in particular, it's picking up, I don't know, false artifacts in the sky, and you'll be up, I don't know, 50 feet, whatever, and the OA is just slowing the drone down, and in the end, I just got fed up with it and just turned it off, and then it flies normally. But the OA, the obstacle avoidance, should I say, is it is having some issue. There is some issues there, at a higher altitude. So little things like that. Obviously, the the appware needs some improvements, and that's on both drones. But if I then move on to the Lite Plus, well, that's a completely different ball game.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions, guys, since you both have the Nano Plus and the Lite. How many firmware updates since the release have you guys experienced?
There's been, what, 3 on the Nano, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember whether it was 3.
And they were all feature additions or bug fixes or both?
Bug fixes.
Bug fixes? Okay.
Yep.
So it looks like they're probably going to be hearing about this quite a lot. Hopefully they'll be receptive to the community and address that issue of slowing down for no reason at all is what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there has been some other reviewers that have identified Jello. To be quite honest, I haven't flown the Nano often enough to identify that in the footage I've taken, so I can't really speak about it. I mean, other reviewers have seen it and identified it, but I'm simply not in the position to talk about it because I haven't found it yet.
I think what it is when you got yours, I think they might have had a firmware release between when you got yours and when you started flying. Because I had Jello and Marcus Crawford had it also. Mine went away after a firmware update. So we were probably the firmware that you had probably fixed that issue. And like Al was talking about earlier, Marcus is flying in a really, really cold area. So that also could have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could.
The other reason is because it's Marcus. Poor Marcus, man. He gets all the lemons.
Yeah. You could argue that the very early units that went out to customers, that maybe there was a production issue. I can't answer that, but it just seems like all those early units from Autel pilots and the like had the issues, and it doesn't seem to be more as prevalent now. Tell me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've seen in feedback on social media.
Well, as long as it's not hardware, I don't have a problem, because hardware means that there's a problem. Software, they can give us that. They can give us the firmware we need to fix that. So tell me this, Ross, when you first flew it for the first time and you took it home, put it on the computer and you pulled the video up, what did you think? Were you impressed with how bright and how clear it was?
Can I use profanities? I mean,
sure.
When I first saw the video that came off that Nano with the bridge, I just went, "Holy F!"
Exactly.
That was super nice, right?
Yeah, I said, I just said, you have got to be kidding. That the low light performance was that good on a sub 50 drone. And look, okay, for all the faults that have been identified with that drone, in respect to the low light performance, and it's not just low light, it's also the dynamic range. Like the dynamic range is very, very good on that small drone, and it really is blowing the competition out of the water as far as the imagery that comes off that camera. I'm not talking about all the other issues, but purely the imagery that's coming off that camera is really quite astounding. It really is.
Yeah, you do have a great location there with that bridge. You could probably do a time lapse early in the morning. And just let it sit there for 30 minutes watching traffic and the sun coming up. Man, that would come out really nice. And it'd be interesting to see in auto how much, leaving all full automatic on the camera, and see how much it would affect the sensor. Obviously, if you want to get your best quality video, you're going to put it in manual mode, dial it into ISO 100, maybe, shutter speed of 400, 500 or whatever, and let it go. But yeah, I would love to see that, because who was the other gentleman that had that light video that did a time lapse?
Adventure or something like that.
Yeah, that came out so wonderful, and it actually exposed us to how good that sensor and camera was.
Yeah. Well,
So
Ross,
I
let me ask
actually
you
did
this.
do I did do a time lapse at that bridge
Oh, you
at the
did?
morning twilight, but it was with the Evo 2 Pro, and there was actually like a low, not a low fog, but a mist that was going over towards the
Yeah,
city,
give you that cinematic
um,
look. Wow.
and and then the rowers, in fast motion and so on.
Hmm.
How
Of
far
course,
away are you from where you video this stuff? Are you really close, or are you having to travel out to get in these areas?
mate, I can see it. If you can't see it, but that look, it's a bit bright for this camera, but I can
So
see
are
the
you
bridge.
flying from there?
No,
Okay.
no, but the bridge, the bridge is literally about literally straight behind me.
How many miles or how many kilometers?
It'd be about 1.5 k's or 1 mile max.
Oh, heck, you
Wow.
could fly from your couch in your living room, man.
Yeah, no, well, the drone law. Unfortunately, the drone laws in Australia don't allow for that. You can't
No,
fly.
you were on the road, man. You were flying from the
Yeah,
road.
you can't
Well,
you
tell me
can't fly
about
over.
your
You can't fly
tell me
over
about
property.
your
And you can't
experience
fly
with the
over.
light.
You can't fly over property or people within 30 meters. Is supposed to be the separation.
Yeah,
Um,
how high above the property can you fly?
you can't fly over property at all.
But yeah,
Um,
but you got helicopters and airplanes flying over your property all the time. I wonder
yeah, well,
why.
that's different. That's different. That's not not drones. There's a different regime for your standard aircraft with the recreational drone use. It's it's another set of rules. And with that bridge video that I did, given that it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, there was no one around. There was no one on the bridge apart from that bike you may have seen,
Yeah, and the
and
people rowing.
rowers, and there's no buses going across the bridge. So the risk element to fly over that bridge was virtually next to zero. You know,
Yeah,
but I
Ross.
have to keep that in mind all the time I'm flying. Is obviously your no-fly zones, because your hotels don't have your geofencing, so you don't have DJI nannying whether you can or can't fly. So you've got to be aware of your
Yeah.
no-fly zones, and then of course the other drone rules.
I have a couple questions for you. Number one, in where you're at now, and you're in Australia, what is the altitude limit that you can fly a drone there?
120 meters, the same as most countries.
Okay.
400
Yeah.
feet, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
It's
Thailand, you
300
said
here.
300 in Thailand. You
Here.
were saying, Robert?
Yes, 300 in Thailand is there. So tell me this. So we talked about the Nano. Tell me about the Light Plus. What has been your experience with it? We don't have wind issues and we don't have stoppage issues. What has your experience been so far with it?
Yeah, well, I think the issues holding back the Nano is probably firmware and just software issues.
Right.
It's early days for the aircraft, and the Sky app is in its infancy. It needs improvement.
Right.
A lot of reviewers are identifying issues that they'd like to see resolved, and but insofar as how it flies and the camera performance, it's pretty amazing. Like,
Yeah.
It really
it
is.
actually, look, the best drone I've ever flown, period, is the Mavic 3. I mean, that is just unbelievable to fly.
It's fast.
Yeah, it's fast and it's very
It
agile.
flies long
I
time.
mean, it wins the prize hands down,
Yeah.
without a doubt. It's just
Now,
incredible.
you have
to
the
fly.
Air 2S. You have the
No.
Air 2S, correct?
No.
Well, in the new firmware, for y'all that don't know, which most of you probably do, this is the original controller. And I use it with the Air 2, and it can be used on the Mini. Now, they've actually made a firmware update. This is the new RC Smart controller that came with the Mavic 3, or shall I say I bought it separate. So this will now work with the Air 2S. I'm really curious to see if they have the Mini 2 work with it, because if that's the case, anybody want? I got a smart controller for sale. I don't need it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess DJI has always been renowned for putting limitations on its hardware because there's crossover issues with other models.
Right.
Like for the Air 2S, I'm sure that's got a variable aperture in the camera, but they don't let it happen because it
Right.
crosses over into the Mavic 3 or the
I
Mavic.
agree. They don't expose those, parameters
No,
to the
it's
user interface.
manufacturer limitations, and you can
Yeah.
go right through the whole gambit of the DJI drones where they put limitations on its software abilities just so it doesn't cross over into the next product. Anyway,
Lychee
it
will
is what it is.
Lychee or Harmony, and what's the other product that you could actually run on your phone to control the camera?
Yeah, well, that's
That I don't know
interesting.
if you can do it with Lychee or Harmony. That would be a good test. I think I'll give it a go. I still have my
Yeah, well,
Lychee license, so I'll put a video
well,
together for you guys.
they were talking about there's going to be no waypoints on the Mavic 3, but I mean, Light will take care of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Once
Harmony
it
too,
comes
and I forget what the other one is. There's a third one out there that people use. It's not as
Well, one thing
popular.
I want to talk about the light that I experienced today, as you can see, a little bit of white on my prop there.
What'd you
Uh,
hit?
I was on it's like a walking bridge out to a gazebo on the ocean, and I had some people around me, so I had to land between the guardrails. There's like, I don't know, maybe 4.5, 5 foot wide that I had to land. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't have side sensors, so you got lower, front, and back. If you're ever landing in those areas and say you're in this direction, do not land like this. Land like this, because I found that the sensors it won't hit it. It will not hit it. But if you land it like this, when you start to go down, if you're in a windy situation like I was, I just barely tapped the right side and the drone went flop. That was it.
Yeah, well,
So make sure you
I've
land
heard
that way and use those sensors.
I've heard the sensors on that the Light have quite a wide field of view.
It does
So
well.
it's like this rather than
Yep.
narrow field of view. But
Mhm.
that Light, I digressed before with the Mavic 3, but the Light Plus, I've never flown an Autel that flies anything close to resembling a Mavic, and the Light certainly is in that category. I mean, it's very agile to fly. It's a lot of fun actually to
Yeah.
fly. But certainly the camera. I did another video of the Story Bridge with the Light Plus, and again that was my first flight with the Light, and I only put it in standard settings. I didn't put it in night mode, but even then I was quite surprised at the performance coming out of that camera, because again it was your blue hour or morning twilight, and it was good. Had I put it in the night mode, obviously that would have bumped up the ISO and would have got a lot more light and dynamic range and all the rest of it. So I was kicking myself that I didn't put it into night mode when I took all that video, because the actual result would have been a lot better. But certainly the issue for we have in Australia is that we can't fly at night. We can only fly.
you can get a variance, right? If you
You can.
you have to ask for it.
You have to go through a lot of bells and hoops, and usually takes about a 3 or 4 week. It's usually
Oh
about a 3 or
man,
4
it's
week
not the same
process.
day. Ooh.
No, it's not like getting online and ticking a box and bang, you're away.
Yeah.
We love red tape here. Anyway, it is what it is. But the Super Night, my understanding is that bumps the ISO up to 48,000. I'm not sure what the
Dang.
ISO. I'm not
That's
sure what
gonna
the
be.
ISO is on the night mode. But from the footage I've seen so far from other drone
Yeah. So
pilots,
when you're pulling your footage out, and if you right click and you go to properties, and then I think it's like the third tab for details, it actually gives you all the parameters, what your bit rate, recording bit rate was, and ISO was, and
Yeah,
shutter speed,
the
and
Pro, yeah.
and
But
and
in the auto section, you can on video there is actually the option for standard night mode, super night
yeah.
mode.
So
Uh,
it has
but
a cam set of
yeah,
parameters for you, right?
yeah, it's just the Autel's built in some amazing some amazing denoise algorithms in that night and super night mode, because I haven't shot in those modes, so I can't speak for myself, but I'm just looking at other footage that I've seen from other drone reviewers and so on, and there just isn't any noise in the footage. So they're pulling some great tricks with their denoise algorithms with those particular modes.
Okay.
Whatever. I mean, it's the software is getting better and better, and it's good. It's good for the drone industry, that you're getting this sort of thing happening. Be it that Autel does it with this denoise and very high ISO. No doubt DJI will follow case, because they don't like to be gazumped with products. So no doubt they'll either have firmware updates, or they'll bring out a Mini 3 or whatever. It just goes on and on. It's just a revolving door.
It will continue to be so, and that's one of the pitfalls of drone reviewers is you're going to have to buy the latest and greatest stuff all the time. So you're going to be chasing your tail all day long with money, and trying to.
I've got a question here from Akarasho. Do commercial licensed drone pilots have more flexibility in Australia?
They do, but they still have to go through the same bells and hoops. So I mean, if you're flying over property or people, or no-fly zones, or at night, there is a process involved with CASA in order to get the approvals. So yes, you do have more flexibility, but there's still the bells and hoops to go through.
Here downtown in Bangkok, a lot of it, as you know, is no-fly zone, but you can actually get a special request. It takes a week, fill out where you're flying, where you're staying, and you can put it in, and 7 days later, they'll send you authorization where you can actually fly downtown in certain areas.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, there's some beautiful places in Thailand to fly. My God, down at Sataheep, down over obviously you probably can't fly down there, but down at the Navy base at Sataheep, Rayon, there's some magnificent islands and bays and beaches down there. It's just endless. Koh Sak, which is a big dammed area down towards Phuket, is just nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Avatar sort of scenery.
Right. Do you know Do you know Flores?
Flores?
Yeah.
Sorry, is that a person or a place?
Yeah, it's a person that's got. He's big on Instagram and photography, and also with drones. And he lives on one of the islands here. And man, he just produces some really great images. It's Floris. I always talk about him. And if people would go and look him up, it's amazing what he does.
He's not on Koh Samui. He's on an island nearby, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, exactly. But man, he's got. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see what? Sorry to interrupt, guys. Interactive DNA was saying that he's got a video out how to make your own ND filters.
No,
I got a couple different ones in here. Hold on.
Yeah, he's definitely been blasting a lot of good information. So I would definitely want to see.
It was just the other point I was going to make on Robbie and Al with the Light Plus is the battery life, the flight time is.
Yep.
That the Light Plus actually matches the Mavic 3 for flight time. If it doesn't match it, it's within a minute or two. Either way. So
impressive,
it's got
right?
A huge battery. It has a huge battery because the Air 2S has got a 3500. This has got a 6174. I mean, it's like it's all battery.
Yeah, it's the endurance time of both the Mavic 3 and the Lite Plus. Well, they're both the benchmark for flight time in the fold-up drones at the moment. There's no doubt about
Yeah.
that. You got that, your variable aperture, and that the area that it excels obviously is in the having that high ISO for your nighttime footage and the denoise algorithms. That's what stands out for me with that Lite Plus, and it flies well. It flies similar to a DJI. I've always enjoyed flying the DJI drones because they always fly with great agility.
Yeah.
Like the Mini 2. Mini 2 is just sensational to fly, but the Nano Plus in particular is absolutely gazumped with its camera performance. But if I had a choice between which drone would I fly, I'd say just for flying, I'd take the Mini 2 any day.
Yeah.
But for what comes out of the camera, the Mini 2 it's not even close. Like, not even within a bull's roar of it. If anything, that Nano Plus probably comes. It's either equal to or even better than the
Air 2S.
Air 2S.
Yeah. I had a question for you, Ross. That if you could only take one drone, I'll often ask this question. And only one, which one would you take out of your arsenal or your fleet, I should say?
To fly or to get rid of?
No, just you're going on vacation, you have a limitation, you could only take one drone. What would you take?
The Lite Plus by a long shot.
What you own?
I've got the
he
Mavic.
owns it.
There's a hanger.
You have the Nano Plus, you got the M3,
Mavic 3, Mini 2,
and Mini 2,
the Evo 2 Pro, or the Autel Evo 2 Pro.
Right. So you got a good fleet. So which one would you take?
Lite Plus and the Nano Plus. And I have had Fimi drones, Hubsan drones, Walkera drones. I mean, it just goes on and on. But the drones that either I am sick of the issues with them, or I just get over them. They're gone. Actually, out of those other two third-tier drone manufacturers, I thought the Fimi made a good product. They flew really, really well. They just had a few niggling issues with the camera.
Yeah, the Horizon was the biggest problem for them. Everybody hated that.
But to fly, they were fantastic. Yeah.
Well, Ross, I'm still waiting on pins and needles. The question still stands.
Get the drum roll.
The drum roll.
No, look, the Evo 2 Pro and the Mavic 3 are too big when it comes to traveling. And the other side of the coin is the Mini 2 and the Nano Plus, taking those sub 250s, they're too small, so that they can't answer all the weather conditions. They're handy when it comes to traveling. It's just a pocket drone. But look, if you're a DJI fan, without doubt it would be the Mavic Air 2S. And if you're an Autel fan, it would be the Lite Plus. But in respect to software, the Sky app has a fair way to go. But if they can perfect that app and get it working really nicely, I think Autel's completely and utterly gazumped the Mavic Air 2S. It's got longer flight time. It's got a variable aperture. It's the long flight time and the night modes, with the high ISO.
Have you used the ND
it's
filters
great for consumers that they've got all this competition going on. Sorry, Robbie.
Have you used the ND filters with yours yet?
No, I haven't got the ND filters. Sorry.
When I get above the ocean, I'm getting the eye and the lens a lot.
I'm still waiting for the answer, Ross.
Sorry, I tell a lie again. The Lite Plus combo comes with ND filters. I tell a lie. I haven't used them yet.
Right. He said he would choose it.
Yeah, the only
Ah,
flight I've done with the Light Plus was that one at the Story Bridge.
Yeah.
With the lights on the bridge. Um, and I tell a lie, I did go out with some fellas last Sunday. And had the other guys flying the Autel products, and for that matter, the Mavic 3, because most of them had never seen them before. So they were having a great old time getting on controls of all of those drones. I think I flew them a little bit. They were having a great time. Just sharing the products. The experience of flying those other products. With other flyers that don't have those drones. They're always intrigued, and as soon as the question mark comes up, just hand over the controller and said, "Give it a fly, see what you think."
Yeah.
I know those things are so mindless to fly, right? There is not much skill to fly those things, I must say.
Well, I'm
Not,
happy. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with everything about this drone. If I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick this because I don't get blown around in the wind like this blows around. So I'm very impressed with everything about this drone so far. Other than I get a lot of I don't know what you call them, like circles in the lens from the sun. So I
that's
don't
the
know whether
aperture, Robbie. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
light coming, bouncing off your
right.
sensor back to the lens, and that's where you see your
I've
aperture.
adjusted it. I've adjusted it so much. I got to like go dark because I fly a lot of early mornings, and when I try to go dark, it gets too dark and it goes away. So I'm liking
yeah,
that fine point.
yeah.
Yeah,
Look, I get the same issue with the Mavic
yeah.
3.
It's
With
the
that
aperture.
green
Yeah.
spot and lens flare.
Mhm.
Look, I don't think any drone's perfect when it comes to
No.
lens flare and getting spots on the lens. I'm sure
And
there
I
are.
like to use that as
More
a
expensive.
yeah, I like to use that as a strength because a sun flare coming through, it actually kind of adds to the shot, if you want that kind of thing. But some people look at it and go, oh my gosh, yeah, but it's kind of cinematic. But I'll tell you what, when you start building and you got a 3D printer that you can make all your parts for it and protect your drone, and so I made a 4 inch. No, I made a 3 inch, 3.5 inch first, the 4 inch, the 5 inch, and they're all DJI either, well, I shouldn't think Caddx now, but this is fun.
Yeah,
GPS
I've never
drones,
experienced the FPVs out, so
no, this building it is even better because then you got to tune it, you got to fix it, and you got to make it work. And then if you're into doing CAD CAM programs, then you got to make all your little covers for it.
yeah,
And so not only you're getting all the photography, all that stuff, because you got to buy either the Polar camera or you want the Nebula Pro camera or you want the regular Air Unit camera. So they're going to be give you different shots. And
Al,
then
you lost me there on the FPV stuff. We're talking about the GPS
likewise.
stuff.
As soon as you start talking FPV, I say
Yeah,
sorry, I've got nothing to contribute.
yeah, I'm the
I'll
same
leave it
way.
alone. Yeah, but then we're mounting the GoPros on top and having a blast, right?
Yeah,
And this product everybody loves to hate because it it's not a true. It's not the purest FPV PEV guys hate it because it hits something and it cracks like an egg, and it costs you $250 to replace the arm.
yeah. I mean,
Ross,
it's been a great uh, release for DJI because it's allowed a lot of people that have never flown FPV before. They're taking up a well-known drone manufacturer's product, flying FPV, and if they like it, well, then they're moving on into more dedicated type products.
Yeah, it's
Like
a gateway drug. There's no doubt about it, Ross. I mean, it really is. And the nice thing about it, if I wanted, to like, I was going to take Robbie or you, Ross, and say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to FPV. I'm going to put you on that big DJI FPV and let you fly high. So if you make a mistake, you got 100 feet to recover. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And on top of that,
big net
you
to
got,
catch it.
and then you got, save your ass button on the left trigger. As soon as you hit that, that thing stops. It could be dropping out of the sky, it just rights itself and stops right there.
Yeah.
And so your experience, having the goggles on your face and only flying with goggles on your face without paying a price of hurting yourself or hurting somebody's property or just losing the drone, because you do have that GPS feature that returns at home.
Let's get back on track with the GPS, because Ross flies GPS and we got him on our show. So let's concentrate on Ross a minute and get away from the PVV.
Well, I'm trying to talk him into doing FPV. I think he would
Okay.
enjoy it.
So
Yeah,
Ross,
take
I guess,
control, Robbie. Take control.
sorry, Ross, I guess, my question is, because we're flying these particular, drones here and where you're at there, how do you purchase your drones there? Do you have a dealer? Is there a particular company you go to? Because we both have the same Altel friends. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Look, yes, there are vendors here in Australia for both the Autel and DJI brands. Obviously, a lot more vendors for the DJI brand, because you talk about the dominance of DJI in America. Like, I think in Australia it's even more so. I would think in relation to just the consumer drones, in Australia, DJI would probably take up at least 95 or more % of the
Same
drone
here.
market. And look, I just think that for competition and for choice, I think the best thing that's ever happened was to have another drone manufacturer that can actually build some quality products and actually go head to head with DJI. And that's not favouring one or the other. It's just good for the consumer.
Yeah, it pushes them for better products.
Yeah, I mean, market competition is great for the consumer. And for so long, really, we've had DJI, and then we've had third tier, if you want to call it, manufacturers that are trying to go head to head with DJI, and they just weren't even close. Whereas Autel is probably the first manufacturer that has actually produced products that are going head to head. Like that, what do you call it? The Evo 2 Pro. Look, everyone has their favorite drone manufacturer, and, if you have one, good luck to you. But in relation to the Evo 2 Pro, it really did bring some new ideas to the table, particularly in respect to the interchangeable camera payload. I just thought that was a brilliant idea. The other famous drone manufacturer, if you want to go into enterprise, you have to buy another enterprise drone. Whereas with that Evo 2 Pro, it's 4 screws, take off the ribbon cable, put on the other camera, bang, you've got an enterprise drone. And look, that creates flexibility for the commercial user, and it saves time. It's money. That costs money. It set a few benchmarks over the Mavic 2 Pro, and it took a while for DJI to come up with its answer, which is obviously the Mavic 3. And look what's happened. I mean, the Mavic 3's got the 4/3 sensor with the telephoto camera, which is quite a unique idea, actually. The firmware came out yesterday. You may have been discussing that before I came on board, which a lot of those intelligent flight modes, I just don't use them, but certainly the panoramics I do.
Yeah.
In respect to the telephoto, probably the only thing it's missing is it doesn't have raw images or log. So when it comes to editing video in particular, it's just a pain in the backside when you're going from standard mode to log when you're doing a video. But it is what it is. I'm sure DJI will fix it down the track.
Yeah. Maddie's Drone World had a comment and said, "This is great for U.S. consumers. Also great for the DJI guys. It'll make DJI bring their game up much more." That's what he's looking forward to. And he's right. I mean, it is a good idea to do that. One thing that kind of I panicked on after I bought these drones, I never used the Sky app. And I went in there and I was like, how the hell do you change the camera? And I never understood to go into the pro mode where you could change that stuff. I thought it was just an extra feature like on the Action 2 where you can go in pro mode. And I was like, what is this? And then I had found where you can actually control everything there.
I'll tell you what.
Idiosyncrasies, yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Hubsan beat DJI on that Xeno Mini Pro. They have sensors on it. DJI does not.
I bought one of those, Al.
Yeah, it's a good. It's a good little camera.
Yeah, the camera's good. Look, to be quite honest, it has heating issues. Is probably the biggest issue.
Oh, and in the location you're at, I imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, when it was first released, it just had so many issues to be resolved with firmware. And we're now 6 months down the track, and I think Hubsan's pretty much
let's drop the price on a lot. Have you noticed it's down to $415 right now?
Yeah,
US dollars.
I lost patience with the Hubsan Xeno Mini Pro. You know, I just thought, look, I might be waiting forever to see this drone improve, and I just sold it. And get a load of this. The fellow that bought it down in Melbourne, he decides to fly it inside a metal shed for his first flight, and of course that stuffed up his gyro and GPS, and it just went straight off, hit the side of the shed, bang, done. And I said, well, thanks for a $500 phone.
Oh man, sorry to
blew his money in one flight.
I know. That was what you're hoping. You bought it with your American Express card. You can return it and get your money back.
I'm saying, what do I do? What do I do? And I gave him the contacts at Hubsan, to help him out. But I said, do you really think that was a good idea, flying in a metal shed for your first flight? Anyway, whatever. Each to their own.
Third Eye View says, all I know is that my Air 2S will be here tomorrow. Tired of waiting on the Altel. You mean this Air 2S? I bought mine from him. So evidently he must be buying another one.
Robbie, I still think value for money, the DJI Air 2S is the best drone in the consumer lineup from that manufacturer. It's a fantastic drone for the money.
It's smaller and it's lighter weight and it performs good every time. Any option you want to do on it, it's really good. But if I'm not concerned about the weight, I do love the new drone. I do.
I think look, we'll put the Nano and the Mini that competition aside, but I think as far as Autel with their new drones, the real competition is the Lite Plus and the Mini Air 2S. The Mavic Air 2S and the Mavic 3. That really is a drone for everyone to take close, have close attention to.
Yeah.
To come straight off the drawing board and to perform the way it does, I'm pretty impressed. And you could say the same thing about the Mavic Air 2S, because that was probably the best release from DJI ever. I mean, it came out of the box and everything was
ready to go.
Perfect.
Yep.
Best release DJI's ever made. And then they followed it up with the Mavic 3, which was probably the worst release they've ever made.
But now with the firmware update, we'll find out today, because I'm going to go fly it. I want to see what options they've actually put in it, because it's.
I've got absolutely no doubt.
Ross, we got a lot of wind here. You know that we have wind from hell here over the beaches.
That's from all those curries you eat.
All right, Robbie. I think you've been.
Okay. Well, look, we're 25 minutes over, and we still
got
quite a few people. Yeah, got a few people still in here, but we want to
thank.
We got about
Mark's
20
in the
people
house.
still watching.
Mark Fisher joined, guys. Thanks for joining, and I would definitely enjoyed the interaction with the interactive DNA. I definitely look forward to chatting with you about some of the coding of the drones and your own flight controller. Man, I definitely want to chat with you offline. in the process of making a VTOL with with FPV VTOL from Azad Dart XL. And probably over your head there, Robbie and guys. But anyway, the next segment is trying to get 40 miles out on airplanes and get about an hour flight time. And if you don't need a runway, that'd be even better. So VTOL's what I'm thinking about building. So just got to pick a flight controller to get it going. Robbie, awesome show. Ross, awesome show, man. Wish you the best down there.
I'm very jealous of Robbie, actually, because he's. Are you still in Hua Hin?
No, actually, I'm in Sumi Sakan now.
Okay, yeah, but that Hua Hin is a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, that's where we were. We were at the weekend. Look, guys, I'm going to put Ross's channel in here, and I want you guys to subscribe and
hit the thumbs up.
Yeah, and hit the thumbs up, but subscribe to his channel and stay in touch. Usually when these new drones comes out, he gets them and flies them and gives, like he has today, honest opinion. But we always need to bring other people from other zones into our groups. So let's everybody welcome him and go over and sub and give him some credit for the time that he put in, because I'm telling you, I was on the International Drone Seekers yesterday. It was 3 a.m. Some of these hours are rough having to meet these, but like it's daylight where he's at now. So if we can pull in people from different areas and we can go into their channels too, it broadens our group of knowledge on what we're learning. So please click on the link below and subscribe. And other than that, I think I've got everything. And Ross, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, all I was going to say is I'm not one of those 101 reviewers. I'm not really into reviewing drones. I'm into content providing, and I just let the footage do the talking for each drone.
Sure.
And probably I just come into chats like this where I'll be sitting in the background just helping with comments and content, to clarify drones. And I don't know everything about the drones, but if there's something I do know, I'll try and help with the content. But I'll leave the reviews for the likes of whoever.
Well, I just subbed to your channel, Ross.
Marcus and whoever. Sorry.
I just subbed to your channel, man. So definitely go to support.
Yeah, everybody sub in so we can, this really helps out as we have the guest on by subbing, and he'll sub some of you guys too. So look, and follow follow the World Drone Community, guys. We're stuck at 1.5 K members. We need to push it up to 5K. So, tell everybody this is one of the hottest Facebook groups, World Drone Community, guys. Start posting. Yeah, start posting.
And start growing it.
We may do a couple of little giveaways on some stuff and do like a monthly. Whoever puts the best monthly post, we'll give something to. We want your content. We want your content.
I was just laughing because I'll share my screen because did you see what QC guy put up there?
What do you say?
If you share my screen, you'll see it.
Hold on. I can't. You're not showing it to me.
My doggone, come on. I just locked up everything. Sorry. I think.
What do you say?
It's sorry about that, Robbie. It was my fault. Don't worry about it. But he's on the phone trying to get through Autel Robotics.
I know. I saw the part of the video, and he said they're not answering. Maybe they saw this. I think they put their phone number on the front of their channel.
I know, right? So anyway, my apologies. I locked up my video, so I'm done.
Guys, we're going to end it here. We'll see you next Monday night, same time. We'll see you then. Y'all be good.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having me on, guys.